the only thing that I really would have added is just looping back to the whole, our triggers, the things that get us all triggered and through the whole dating process, where anytime, and this may be a good way to approach it, where if you can get excited about when you notice yourself complaining about the men who are showing up on your dating profiles, on your dating apps, or even in the relationships you're in. This is universal to wherever you're at in the dating and love timeline. If you can catch yourself complaining and get excited about, oh, I've got notes for myself. I've got a note about what I really like. I've got a note about what really jazzes me up. I've got a note about what turns me on. You've got more information. And again, if you can get excited about, then you've completely stepped outside of that old loop and into a new paradigm of the love adventure. From there, I mean, like that information will give you a new opportunity to connect with a man, to connect with what you really want, even when you're still with the same, what seems like the same pile of men who are disappointing. You're going to be able to step outside of that loop and see something new. I could probably continue repeating that same theme in my mind. I'm seeing all of the ways that we get disappointed. Not like, for example, men who, we know that we want commitment, and on a dating app, it's like they're not sure yet that they want commitment. And then we get all agitated about it. Why? He's wasting my time. I don't want to waste my time. In reality, like how much that whole scenario shifts when we can settle in with, I'm really looking for a committed relationship, and I really have no idea who this man is in front of me. Who is this man in front of me? Who am I when I'm sitting in front of this man? Who else is in this room? What else am I seeing? What else am I hearing? What else is touching me? Where is my energy going? There's so many other things that we can see once we're no longer looking at him as if he's a disappointment, or that we're going to be disappointed. I really love to add more scenarios, because it just seems like, I mean, looking at going into the dating field, going back into the dating field, asking for help when your relationship doesn't feel good. It's like there can be this mountain of disappointment. And yet, what if it was a mountain of gold? Your problems. That seems like a bit of a stretch, and yet that's kind of what we're inviting as being sirens. Is I am a beacon of love. I am a beacon of light. I am a beacon of discovery, and I'm gonna learn something, and love is gonna find me. Love's already here. I'm just stripping down the layers of what isn't love. That's all.
Natalie, just to prompt you here, what I'm hearing from you is somehow we're expecting some kind of magic. Some kind of magic, the magic of love, the magic of chemistry, magic of love at first sight, the magic of true love to lead us. I just watched Lady Chatterley's Lover, and I wasn't feeling much, except the sex was awesome, but I wasn't feeling much between them at her. But it's all relying on this sense of magic that they are meant for each other. We have this flame. And I feel like that's what you're talking about, that we're looking at that and then that doesn't show up, or it shows up weird, when actually the magic is in what you're talking about. Would you kind of reframe that for me?
Hopefully I can pick up where you're leaving off here. I really think there's, even those of us who are much more pragmatic and practical, I think there's that little shiny thread of, when love shows up, I'm just going to know it. It'll be like a lightning bolt through my soul, and something, I will change. The world will be different. Like, either the outside, the whole world is going to change from the outside in. And yet more frequently than not, because I do think sometimes that does happen, or the outside, something happens on the outside and it just completely changes us from the outside to the inside and thoroughly. And yet more often than not, and I would say this is a super empowered place, that we can be that catalyst. We can choose to say, you know what, I'm waking up right now. I'm going to choose to see love. And even though I don't recognize it right in front of me right now, I'm just going to suspend the disbelief that love isn't here. I'm going to just choose to be in this space and be with the idea that love is all around me, even if I can't see it, even if it doesn't feel the way I think it should feel right now, and see what happens, where my thoughts go differently, where I'm still battling my thoughts in the same way, where I'm not allowing myself to inhabit my whole self. It's a rare person who inhabits their full self, I would say.
And so much of what you're saying is shifting all of that focus on him, and what impact am I making on him, and why isn't he doing more of this and coming more towards me, and why am I not making this huge impression that's going to then make him be more of whatever I think I should have, or whatever I think he should be. And actually, what I feel from what you're saying, it's like, how is this interaction having an impact on me? It's like, how and how am I aware of that impact? Like, does when a guy on a date, you're going to go on a date with him, when he calls or messages in the morning to confirm that date, oh my gosh, does that make me feel safe? Does that turn me on? How does that impact me, rather than what impact am I making on other people and why are they not? Because at some level, as I'm hearing you talking, there can be that annoyance, that frustration with the guy, but equally we're doing it with ourselves. Why aren't I being more attractive? Why aren't I attracting more men to me? Why aren't I? So we are criticizing them or upset with them, but there's something else going on in here. But just hearing that, it's like, what impact is this situation? What has this man arrived in front of me to teach me about the impact in my body when a man is unreliable? How does that impact me? How does that feel? When a man is very considerate and constant and shows up, how does that impact me? And then dating, like, there's no such thing as a bad date then. It's just experiences. And an opportunity to understand the impact that goes on inside of me. I've heard it said many times, and in my experience is that, often a woman can get to what she wants through knowing what she doesn't want. Well, that's one route anyway. That's a route. When we have a date and a guy is unreliable, or he doesn't show up, or he doesn't call when he says he was, you can go, oh my God, I don't want that. Makes me feel unsafe. I want the safe feeling. I want the guy who does show up.
How activated we get. This was kind of a learning curve of, if someone is not showing up, how activated do I get? Do I worry about it? Do I want to reach out and tell that person how wrong they are? How much energy do I put on that disturbance? As well as, and this is kind of crazy, but like the equal is true for when it feels good. Like, oh my gosh, he did this and this and this, and he brought gifts, and how activated we get over that. I would say that could be worth talking about, because we can lose our cool in both cases by making it mean something over the top about the relationship, about a commitment, about what a man means. And instead of being able to just be there in that moment and go, wow, this feels really nice. I feel calm. I feel safe. I feel happy being in this moment without going 12 steps forward and trying to, lock him into a commitment in our brains because he did something nice for us.
Yeah. I love it.
For me,
in technical class. For me, the magic happens when I can tell the difference between those two states, between those two feelings. One of feeling warm and open to my man, and the other of feeling like I'm passing through. I'm getting to the next moment, or he's not impacting me. It's a slightly different feeling on how much openness and intake I am taking. And for those of you who are interested in energetics, spirituality, and what that feels like inside you, this is an experiment you want to conduct in your own life. It's a very powerful aha for you. For instance, being sick this last couple of weeks was so mind-opening. And my husband was sick too. We had a guest who was sick too. We're all padding around. And I noticed the difference in my being when I was trying to be useful and get stuff done and be alert, and when I just allowed myself to be useless. And the difference, as I talked about this before, was when I allow myself to be useless in my vocabulary, in my masculine brain, useless, I actually had more energy. I felt better. I was smiling. I could feel the warmth, and I could feel what, to me, the love that underpins everything. Now, God is love, but it is everything, and it is the feeling that you have when you allow yourself to sink down into your more powerful lower chakras and the whole of your energetics that's holding you together as a physical being. The systems that are ticking and moving, and the energy that those things take, and the forms, and it's moving towards you, and the interaction with the air outside you, and the energetics of the radiation, everything that is slightly outside you, and the other beings, your dog, your cat, the man himself, how all of this is playing in your system, energetics, and who you are and how you feel. And when I allow myself to be useless, my brain would shut down, and all of a sudden, all this energy. And all of a sudden, I could see my husband differently. It's as though he's just the guy's wandering around all these years, and he's him. That wasn't what I was seeing. I was seeing deeper. I was feeling him. I saw his eyes, his plasma, his amazing eyes. And when he looks at me, it's like, hey, who could resist that feeling? I'm clearly someone he loves. And I could feel it. And it's like a thing that comes through. And I could make that anything I want. I could cut myself on from the knees and make that sexy. I can make decisions about what that means and who that is and who he is and how I feel about it all. I just was useless. And all of a sudden, the energetics between us was shifting, the dynamic. All of a sudden, I could feel stronger feelings for him than I allowed myself to feel when I was busy being useful. I hope that makes sense for you. Busy being useful as opposed to being useless. But nevertheless, still, I found myself cleaning up more. I found myself writing more. I found myself actually doing more while feeling useless than I was doing when I was being useful. Mm-hmm. And I would enjoy the water when I was washing a dish. I would sit on the floor and pet my dog. And I ended up having more time doing more things. And I was feeling my husband more. I was experiencing him more. And he could feel that from me, which changed him inside. And all of a sudden, he saw how much impact and how much openness I was having towards him, how much I was smiling, how much I was not moving towards him, but simply taking him in, and how much he could be, how much space he could take, how much he could be heard, how much energy he could basically put into me, he could transfer to me. when he could feel me in this useless state, I was labeling it that, but it was obviously a much more stronger spiritual being, part of myself than it was before, much more feminine energy. And he could feel that. And so he was arising more. He was putting more energy into me. And before I knew it, the dynamic between us, rather than being up, down, me doing it less, him being a quieter person, or, you know, all of a sudden the energetics was like, he was this ball of fire and I was this warm ember, and it was different, you know? The sex was different. Everything was different. My appreciation was different. My ability to take in was different because I was getting rid of this silly nonsense mental state of what is useful, what is not. And I don't know if that is helpful to you, but it's that process of experiencing that makes a difference, not understanding it, but experiencing it, which is why circular dating is so crucial. And discovering when you are being curious or where you are being thoughtful, where you are being useless and just experiencing being alive, or whether you're trying to be useful, whether you're trying to make something happen, or whether you're just allowing yourself an experience as an alive human being, and how much energy that frees into the magic, which is what we've been talking about. The magic that you've been looking for is just a matter, it just needs to be freed. It's already there. And I believe it could happen with almost any man who has the ability to do it and the natural inclination to want you. When that happens, the magic happens when you stop blocking it. Experience.
Very cool. Very cool. Very, I mean, it's like feminine energy secrets. Oh, it's something more special than that. But yeah, the secret of feminine energy is it's still so elusive. It's still so esoteric. What is it?